Alright, welcome back everyone, Zaf here. As you know, in less than 3 days from the recording of this video, Esil and a new update are dropping, but the question is, should you or should you not summon for her? Obviously, that's a very tough question to answer until we can summon for her, until we see her preview, until we see her kit, her stats, test her out. But really quick in the comments, do let me know if you plan on summoning for Esil no matter what, whether she's going to be good or bad. I'm very curious who you true fans are, so let me know. I'll look for your comments, that way I can see which ones of you are true fans of her. But in general, let me give you my advice, because a lot of you last time, when it came to Akari, you summoned for her way too early, you summoned a hunter you didn't really want, and also, although Akari is the best in slot right now for light sport units, she's not really a hunter you have to waste your rate of draw tickets on, because as you know, these tickets here are not easy to get, so that's why you do want to optimize when it comes to your summons, only getting the hunters you need. So the question is, will Esil fall into that same category as Akari, being a fantastic unit that you don't have to summon for ASAP? I'll cover that, giving you my insight, because it's very important. I don't want people to be disappointed, even though Esil is good, because if you think about it, our fire teams are a bit lackluster, but we'll get into it, don't worry. That way, you know exactly what to do. But I should mention, of course, if you want codes and also you want to see what Esil is like, make sure, go to the link down below. We will be streaming the Korean dev stream that will cover Esil for the first time, so you don't want to miss out. These streams always have the best codes out there, so go to the link, press the notify button, and also drop your like. That way, you know exactly when we go live. And also, one more stream link down there, that's for the actual update release. We're going to summon for Esil, we're going to see what she's like, we're going to test her. That way we know for a fact whether or not she's going to be a summonal unit. And lastly, don't forget, if you want more codes to support us for free on Netmarble's creator program, the link is down below. You press this button here. After linking your account, we have 1, 2, 3 codes available for me to send out to you. Again, takes about a day to send out, but you will get them. There's also 3 more codes coming out eventually, so just stay tuned, do support. That way, I can send you all these juicy rewards. And lastly, a big shout out to David C for being your first comment to our last video. Here's your shout out, bro, and enjoy that juicy Discord roll. And speaking of Discord, do not forget to join our server. That way, you can enter in all the juicy giveaways here. We have 1, 2, 3 right now for hundreds of dollars, so make sure you join. That way, you don't miss out. We have an amazing community that you definitely do want to join. So let's jump back and talk about what we know right now when it comes to Esil. So very important, she is going to be the fire version of Gogunhee. That's the assumption, and she's also going to scale with attack, meaning she might be our first attack scaling breaker DPS unit. That of course being for the fire category. We already have other attack scaling breaker units like Lim here, where is he? Although not the best unit still, he does scale off attack and he breaks, but Esil might be a much better version comparable to Gogunhee, but for the fire element, so I'm very excited about that. The only issue is when it comes to Esil, she is going to be obviously a fantastic support unit, a breaker, a DPS buffer based on what we can expect, but the main issue is, who is she going to support, who is she going to buff? Because right now, when it comes to our fire teams, there's not really much there to enjoy. We have Yuso Hyun, she's a mid-tier DPS unit, not really excelling right now. We have Emma, she's a very good mobber and breaker. We have Gina, where is she? She's a support unit, she has okay damage, she's attack scaling, so not too bad. And we have Choi, he has defense reduction from his weapon, he has good skill damage from the resets his ultimate gives, but overall, his DPS is pretty lackluster, so there's not really too many good fire units out there. That means, for that reason alone, I wouldn't say using your rate of tickets for Esil is going to be a must, something that's required ASAP, because even with the brand new workshop coming out, which we can of course expect to be dual elements, that being light and fire, that just means for a fact we're not really going to be required to summon for, because right now we have Gogunhee, we have Thomas Andre, we have Akari, we have Cha, we have so many light units that we can just use instead of using our fire teams to clear this game mode. So I would say for the majority of you, if you have Gogunhee, let's hit A3, if you have Thomas Andre to A3 and above, if you have Chaman and Akari, again A3 and above, you're basically good to go. I don't think you're going to need to summon any fire units right now. That is of course assuming Baron is going to be a light weakness and a fire weakness. You'll essentially already have a full team ready for the new game mode. So I can't really think of a good reason why we should summon for Esil right now, but of course, she's a waifu to a lot of you. She is a unit a lot of you do love, and probably one of the biggest fan favorites in general. That's why a lot of you will summon for her anyways. But when it comes to the efficiency route, a lot of you wondering, should you summon for her? I would say she is going to be a unit that you can wait on, but you have to remember, there are a lot of events when hunters do release. That's why I always do recommend anyways to summon for them. Just get them to A0 for example, that way you can max out on the events like these ones here that do provide us the weapon and the materials for the hunter weapons, giving us a lot of bonus stats that do help us out in the long run. If you miss out on these events, you are losing out on a ton of potential damage, and also we have these events here which do give us weapons and other materials which are pretty good. You can max these out without getting a hunter of course, but generally speaking, getting the main hunter will be the main source of points, so that's why I do recommend generally getting the hunters always to a 0 or a 1, depending on what you want to do. That way, you can boost your progress in your count overall by completing these events here. That is, of course, optional, you don't have to, but a lot of you do follow that process. That way, your accounts are generally further ahead based on the bonus points you get for the events, but you have to remember, rate-up tickets are not easy to find. Saving them to use all at once for big hunter like Thomas Andre is generally much better, but we don't know when that's going to happen. Thomas Andre was honestly a very rare find where he did release and he was just broken, and I mean broken, still is, literally, our strongest hunter in the game right now, absolutely wrecking all the monsters we face, but that's another reason why Esil isn't really needed. We're going to jump into our light teams, basically clearing the workshop. We don't need fire teams right now, because even if the workshop comes out, and we summon for Esil, we don't really have a fire team to really back her up with, especially if you're free to play. You're not going to get too much use out of her right away. Kane is coming out, of course, and she's going to be a dedicated DPS unit, kind of like Mirai is. So a DPS assassin, that's when Esil will be more useful. Right now, she just doesn't have too much of a use. So again, the question comes to whether you should summon for ASAP or not, and I think a lot of these answers are leading towards the fact that we just don't need her ranked up right away. She is going to come eventually to the custom draw, and that's where you can summon for her. But we also have future game modes coming out, so the question is whether or not those will be important for her. The first general game mode, of course, being this one right here, our favorite Battlefield time game mode. We know for a fact whenever a new hunter drops, they're generally going to be needed for at least 1 or 2 of these stages, so if you're someone like me who does enjoy getting a fantastic Battlefield time score, trying to get that ranked number 1 spot every single time, she will be a hunter you probably want to summon for, but again, not really too required. I'm sure we can find alternatives where you don't need Esil right away. But we do have other bosses coming out as well. We have the guild boss Queen Ant coming. We can't expect obviously them to be weak to fire, but generally speaking, the guild boss will be weak to every single element, obviously, so that'll be fine to ignore. We do have another workshop coming out, however, that being Gogman, of course. We have no info on them. They can be weak to basically anything, but based on our past history when it comes to the workshop, we had wind, we had water, we had dark, and now we're getting fire and light. That means going forward, potentially water will come back, and that's another element we'll need. My best guess is that Godo will fill that slot, obviously, because the devs wouldn't really release a hunter that's going to be useless for future raids, especially when he was such a hyped up S-rank hunter that didn't really meet up to his hype per se. But anyways, with Godo coming out and us having already enough fire units, that being Esil and also Kane, he's probably going to be water. That means for Yawgmoth, we probably won't need our fire units, so what are we really going to use them for? Though we can say potentially Yawgmoth will be weak to fire and water, for example, which can happen like before. Baron was weak to wind and dark, and Vulcan was weak to water and wind, so that is a possibility. I don't think they'll be weak to light just because we have so many light units and it'll just be way too easy. I think the devs will probably give us a challenge, so that's my assumption. But anyways, based on what we can expect overall, I don't know if Esil is going to be a hunter we have to rush using our rate-up tickets for, but a lot of you love her. She is a fan favorite. And I won't spoil anything from the future chapters, but she does make appearances, so she is a character a lot of you do love and adore. So truly up to you if you want to summon for her, but overall when it comes to actual gameplay experience, I don't think she's a must. She's definitely avoidable, but I recommend you just wait. That being for the Korean streams, and also waiting for us to test her out, that way you know for a fact whether or not she's going to be a viable hunter to use. But if that's it, let me know in the comments if you plan on summoning for her or not. Very curious what your thoughts are. Overall, I'll obviously be summoning for her. That way we can test her out and I can let you know if she's going to be a viable unit or not. But on that note, do not forget to support us and also check out our streams. The links are down below. That way, you know exactly what to do, and also do subscribe and drop your like if you enjoy SLA content like this. On that note, this is your Code King Zaf, signing out.